Alright, so here's the concealer. It claims to be breathable, lightweight, and medium coverage, which is definitely not that on trend right now. I feel like a lot of people I see want that very full coverage look. So this is definitely going to be interesting. It also has a cushion applicator for, they say, ease of use, like blendability, which I might take this off eventually because the sponge idea on this, it just scares me. The bacteria that could collect in this thing. I mean, maybe it's antimicrobial, but it still scares me. So what I was thinking I could do today with this is a showdown between this this concealer and one of my favorite kind of drugstore concealers from NYX that I typically use on a day-to-day basis. Now the NYX one, the HD Studio Photogenic Concealer, doesn't claim to be long wearing, and I find that I do tend to need touch-ups on my nose because it is oily and it is very red, which is not a good combination because it'll just break up and then you see the red nose underneath. I already have a lightweight coverage foundation on, and I'm just gonna put this on one side, this on the other side, and we'll do a wear test and see if this really lives up to the claims. I would wear this for 25 hours just to be but you know, my skin is actually pretty good right now, and I don't need to cause acne on purpose. Okay, so I got the NYX applied. I don't know if this takes me too long, maybe it'll be hard to blend it out. But let's just see how this goes. First impression is that this is a much better color for drugstore because this is one of the lightest colors from NYX, and you can see how orange it's turning, but this one is actually very true to that light color that you would need if you're pale like me. I don't think I like the sponge tip too much. I really prefer a doe foot applicator. I don't think it's soft enough to be able to blend. It feels more like a hard foam rather than, say, that Maybelline under eye eraser one, which it has a very like soft texture, which makes it feels nice to blend with that one. This one doesn't have that feeling, and I feel like you need to squeeze a lot out of the tube. But that's a pretty crazy color difference though. I think this could be really good for all you pale girls out there. Now let's see if we can blend this stuff out. Oh goodness, why did I do this? The NYX is pretty sheer, but I like it for day to day. I actually wear it as kind of my foundation. I just use concealer. Wow, I just had a booger come out of my nose on camera. Now let's go to this Rimmel one. Rimmel almost has more of a sticky texture, which makes sense if it's going to be long wearing. Yeah, this is definitely harder to blend out. I wouldn't recommend waiting as long as I did. But I did have some technical difficulties that I had to deal with, so... But damn, that is really bright. I also put way too much on. I thought that I almost forgot that I was wearing foundation and I was doing my normal like concealer routine where I blend it all up. But I didn't need to do that today. Now we're gonna set the under eyes. I feel like the Rimmel one looks a little bit worse on my nose. My nose does have a lot of kind of scaliness to it. It gets super oily, but it's also been kind of dry in the winter. It's a weird combination. Right off the bat, I can tell that this one is looking a lot more creasy, but it could be that I put too much on, and I will have to experiment with that going forward. But I will finish baking and put on the rest of my makeup, and I will be back in 1 second. Alright, so the makeup's done. This under eye just looks so much brighter, and I think I definitely put too much on, underestimating how bright it would be. And I think The Rimmel concealer is also really emphasizing the texture on my nose because I didn't put any kind of primer on it. And my nose has been giving me a lot of trouble this winter in terms of just flakiness. But I think that might just be the color, and I also think I may have put a bit too much on. But yeah, I definitely like the way this side of my nose looks better. But I do appreciate the bright under eye because I'm not wearing any corrector, and I do have very blue, purplish under eyes naturally. Alright, so it is 11:51, so basically 12. I think I'll check in about 3 hours. I find that wow, that hand movement was dramatic. It just came in out of nowhere. I find that 3 hours is kind of the time where I need to perhaps blot my face, so like I get to that level of oily that I'm not comfortable with anymore. So we will see how this concealer is holding up in 3 hours, okay? I'll be back. So it's not 3 hours later yet, but I did something. I did something really dumb. I really wanted to snack some pita chips and hummus, and you'll see what happened. I decided I really wanted to make hummus. I'm making this sriracha hummus. I'm gonna make some pita chips, and I got a little ahead of myself, and I forgot to put the blade in. All the ingredients are in there. I turned it on. I was like, oh, how come it's not working? Oh, right, because there's no blade. I don't even know what to say. Well, I'm sorry guys, I lied. I didn't do a check-in because I felt like my face looked good for a long time. It wasn't as oily as I was expecting. I think probably because I'm just at home and not in a hot kitchen environment. But I didn't put a primer on for my eyeshadow today. So if you can tell, it's starting to get all creasy and fading. My skin looks really bad. However, it looks bad on both sides. I'm just gonna blot away some oil and see if the Rimmel concealer kind of looks better after being blotted versus the NYX concealer. So I honestly think that they look equally bad, but the fact that the Rimmel one is much lighter is emphasizing the kind of breakup in some areas, because there's such a stark contrast between what's left here on my nose and the actual color of my nose. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I forgot to mention, it's like 10 hours later without any touch-ups or refreshers or any blotting. So I really let the oils break up the makeup as much as possible. So to me, like, this looks really bad right now. But like I said, they both look equally bad. But I think the one saving grace of the Rimmel concealer, and what I would say makes it win this test, is that it's significantly brighter. It just has a much better tone for highlighting the under eyes. Whereas this side, I see it's very faded. And like you can clearly see my dark circles pretty badly. But on this side, it still looks very bright. And I don't know if that's picking up on camera, but in person, like, this one looks significantly darker. So my final thoughts on the Rimmel concealer is that it's decent. I'll probably take the sponge off or just kind of not apply the product with a sponge. But I think I'm going to keep using it and just experiment with how I apply it, because I really like the brightening factor under the eyes. It's one of the only drugstore concealers that I've tried that actually had a shade that was light enough to be like an actual true highlight on me. In terms of being lightweight or breathable, I feel like it has a more tacky texture going on, which may not seem like lightweight to some people. I don't really notice a huge difference on either side, like wearing it on my face, like one feels lightweight and one doesn't. It just feels like concealer to me. I'm definitely going to keep playing around with it and experimenting with it, and I think it's actually a concealer that you might want to try. It seems like a really good drugstore option. And yeah, this side is so much brighter, oh my goodness. Alright, I just got home from work. As you can see, I'm still wearing my hat because it's cold out, and I'm at that stage where my hair is too messy to take the hat off, so it's staying on. Today I just did not want to get out of bed for some reason, so I did my I'm late for work, no makeup look. And I decided to use the Rimmel concealer for it just to test it out again. What I did was just take the concealer and do like a few dots on my chin, a few dots on my nose, and some under my eyes. And I think I put some on my eyelids too as kind of like a primer. Then I put powder on my face. Then I just put some highlighter on my cheekbones, a little bit on my eyelids, and mascara really fast. Not even like the detailed mascara where you really try to build it up, just like whoosh. And a little bit of brow gel. I also forgot to bring my makeup bag to work, so I haven't touched this up all day. I've only blotted. And I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised, but this concealer does have some pros and cons. Oh, and I put this on at 8 and it's now 6 p.m. So that is 10 hours? 10 hours, I think. My first thoughts are that it looks really good on my chin. Like, really good. It didn't break up at all. The nose is struggling a little bit, but for not having put more concealer on it, it looks pretty good. My only issue with this concealer is that it kind of sits on top of my pores a little bit, like doesn't really fill them in. The nose is like breaking up a little bit on the tip where I can see some of my redness coming through. But I'm actually not mad at this. I think it looks pretty good. The under eyes are kind of like looking a little haggard and wrinkly a bit. But I've been having problems with that lately anyways. One thing I did notice, and I'm not sure if it's because I didn't put enough moisturizer under my eyes, but my eyes felt very kind of like tight today. Like this area here just feels kind of tight. That's my only way to explain it. And I think that could be the concealer because it is kind of that long wearing formula. I honestly think this concealer would be absolutely great for somebody who has oily skin. And I think the coverage is actually pretty good despite the fact that it says it's medium coverage. And I just wanted to show you an example of the shade because, like I said earlier, it's really hard for me to find a drugstore concealer that is pretty light. But let's zoom in. This is the Rimmel one. Look how white that is. This is the lightest shade that I have in NYX HD concealer, and look how orangey pink that is. And this is another Maybelline concealer that I have that's actually called Light. And just look at how deep that is compared to this. Now this is like actually light. I'm gonna keep playing with this concealer, seeing if I can make it work better under my eyes so they don't feel kind of like dry. But I really think this concealer could be good for somebody with super oily skin. If you're dry, you might want to stay away from it. And if you have a lot of pores, it might not be the best for you. I'm going to try it with a pore filler type thing and we'll see how it goes. Overall, I really like it and I'm glad that I picked it up. But thanks for tuning into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you leave me a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. I want you to remember, don't just make up your face, make up your mind too, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.